Hey there, friends. Another fun, easy project to help you get your young woodworker started in this craft. And that is the swivel lid box. How cool is that? Fun project, not as complicated as it may look. Simple tools. Let me show you how it's done. This project calls for just very simple tools. You may remember I put out a video a while back on the $30 toolkit, and that's designed for kids getting started in the woodwork. These are the tools that we're going to be using. Pull saw, a couple of clamps for just holding the work, speed square, carpenter's speed square. You can get by with just having the speed square. We're also going to use a combination square. Don't need both, but they do come in handy. You're going to need a hammer with some brad nails. I'm using 1.25" brad nails, measuring device, tape measure, ruler, something like that. You'll need a drill. It can be a power drill, but if you don't have one of these, well, this is just a fun tool to have. Your kids will love it. Pick them up for about $5. You'll need a drill with the very smallest drill bit you've got, plus a 3/16 drill bit, and a little bit of glue. It can be super glue or wood glue. If you're interested, there are a set of instructions with colored pictures available on the website. You can download those for free. Of course, there'll be a link down below for this as well. So when we get this idea, as we're working our way through the Teacher's Handbook of Sloyd. The Teacher's Handbook of Sloyd is designed to teach adults how to teach children woodworking, hand tool woodworking. Another book, another resource that we use is the Sloyd System of Woodworking, and that talks about different projects that we should bring to the table for the kids. I'm going to introduce a new one, and that is a book by Doug Stowe. It is the Guide to Woodworking with Children, and he is the one that introduced the concept of the swivel lid box. So in the Sloyd System of Woodworking, the box it's a project that's built over and over, different iterations. It is a foundational skill for woodworking because just about everything stems from being able to build a box. Furniture, jewelry boxes, all kinds of gift items stem from being able to build a box. So we're taking the idea of the box from the Sloyd System of Woodworking, and we're incorporating Doug Stowe's version of the swivel lid box to give it a little bit more modern feel. Again, you can use whatever tools or materials that you have available. The first box I built, that prototype, I actually built with recycled construction lumber, 2x4s and 2x6s that I milled down. But for our project, I just went to the home center and I picked up some boards. The material cut list is in the handout, so you can download that if you want. But I just used 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch by 4. This is going to be the side material. Okay, 1/2 inch by 6 for the top, and the handout calls for 1/4 inch by 6 for the bottom. The 1/4 inch at the home center just didn't look very good, so I went with 3/8. You could actually go with the 1/4 inch or the 1/2 inch if you wanted. It just looks a little bit less clunky. But the idea is use what you have available. If you've got scrap, great, use that. Adjust this however you might need to. Let's start cutting some wood. One of the things that I should have mentioned when I was talking about tools is the bench hook. Now, it's not a tool that we typically buy, even though there are some available, particularly Compass Rose tools by Rex Kruger. You can buy those. But this is something that every woodworker should be able to make themselves. And the couple of things the bench hook does for you, it helps your young woodworker make straight and square cuts, which is a critical skill that they have to learn. But it also gives them a place to put their hands. So the saw is always going to be operated with their dominant hand. You know, And the bench hook then allows you a place to rest your non-dominant hand. You'll hold the wood solid, but now you have a piece of wood between the saw and your hand. Every time I've been injured in woodworking, it's because my loose hand was in an area that it shouldn't have been. So this is a way to really give you a place for your hand. The other option is to clamp it down firmly to the bench, and then they can use two hands on the pull saw. And again, that keeps that free hand out of the way. So we're going to start off with the bottom, and we are going to measure out 9 inches. And you do whatever you have available. I picked 9 inches only because I think that fits the dimensions. It makes the piece a little bit more appealing. Is that the right word? I don't know. So bring it in, pull saw. We're going to cut on the pull stroke, of course. So that's why the bench hook is in this orientation. If you were using a Western style saw, you would turn it around. It works both ways. Okay. Light grip, easy strokes to get started. There we go. Nice, easy strokes to get started. Now we need the front and the back. Both of those are going to be 9 inches. Now we switch over to the end pieces. And in order to get that length, what we need is the top or the bottom piece on there. Take your 2 side pieces, put them up against the fence. And this distance from here to here is going to be the length of the end. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can take the ruler like that, measure just like that, transfer it over to your end piece. Okay, you can do it that way. You can, if your piece is small enough, you can put that up here and you can mark it like this. Okay, or you can, of course, take your tape measure, measure it out this way, and then transfer that over to your piece like that. So any of those 3 methods will work. Could be more methods as well. So we got that piece, and we'll cut off the two end pieces. Right, we now have our 6 pieces that are going to form the carcass of the box. We're going to start by nailing the frame together. So we're going to have our our front and the back, and our 2 side pieces. And if we made these cuts nice and square, this is going to go pretty easily. Otherwise, we might have a little trouble, but that's okay. All right, this next part I'm going to show you is 100% optional. There is no requirement to do it, but I think this will actually help your young woodworker. And that is to drill pilot holes near the end of the board. If you're using hardwood such as oak, this becomes a little bit more necessary, but for softwood like pine, it's not quite as critical. So we want to come in about 1/4 of an inch from the end and just put a mark there. We're going to put a mark down here at this end as well. And this is where your egg beater drill with the very smallest bit that you have really comes in handy. I do recommend that you clamp this down somehow, whether you put it in the vise or you take one of your clamps and clamp it to the bench. You know, because even this little egg beater drill can send this thing spinning. If you've got a nice table that you're drilling on, you might want to have some scrap wood underneath there. Don't push down hard. Remember, this is a tiny little bit that you've got. Okay. Then you can take your little brads and you can stick them in there. And that's going to help them actually in the next step when they're starting to nail the boards together. Gives them a good start. All right. For the next step, we're going to take one of our side pieces and we're going to put it in the clamp and hold it as vertical as we can. If you're working off a bench and you want to use your face vise, that's even better. But if you're just getting started in woodworking, especially when you're working with kids, I have to assume that a lot of kids don't have the bench like that. So this eliminates, just gives them an extra pair of hands. All right. So this is where now Doug Stowe in his book recommends using super glue. In most of my projects like this, I would use wood glue because wood glue is more permanent. But his point is that super glue dries so much faster that it actually helps when you're holding the wood in place. So you'll now come in with your piece, line it up as square as your young woodworker possibly can. Holding it, and then they'll just come in. Release your clamp, put your other end piece in the clamp. Come in with your super glue. And not a lot. You really don't want this glue oozing out and gluing the kids' fingers together. All right, now come in, line it up with this outer edge the best they can. All right, take your hammer. So, what hammer should your kids be using? You know, I bought this cute little hammer right here at a antique store, thinking that this was going to be a great hammer for my grandson when he gets a little bit older. He's only 18 months right now, so he's not using a hammer yet. But I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to be a great gift. I started using this thing. I couldn't drive a nail for anything because it was going all over the place with the small head. So my advice is use the biggest hammer that they are capable of holding. So you're not wanting a giant framing hammer, but just an old traditional claw hammer should work just fine. You can take the clamps out of the way now. Oop. Forgot to put our holes in that one. No need for clamps at this stage because we are already vertical. So we'll put a little super glue here and a little super glue here. Line this up. All right, let's just do a rough check on square, see how we're doing. We know it's not going to be perfect, and that's quite all right. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So for the next piece, let's go ahead and put the bottom on. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just drill a couple of pilot holes around the outer edge, and then we will tack that down, centering the board as much as we can. This next part is probably the trickiest part of the whole build. It is certainly the part that gives the most, is the most impressive part of the build. So it makes it look so complicated when it's really not. But that is striking a 20-degree angle across the edge there. So what we do is just take a carpenter speed square and you rotate that until you hit the 20-degree mark over here on the side. So if you're right-handed, you're probably going to come in this way, rotate this until you get to the 20-degree mark. Can you see 20 degrees? Again, rotate it until you hit the 20-degree mark, and then strike your angle running this way. All right. Now that was a little bit too far over, I think. So let's do this here. We put it at the 20-degree mark. That looks good. Now we're going to come in with our pencil and strike our line. See, this corner is firm up against that. That's where you rotate. 20-degree mark over on this side. Strike your line. And now that we've got an angle here, a bench hook nor a miter box is going to help you any at all. So we're going to have to make our own straight edge. And we do that by taking a known piece of straight wood and clamping it right along that edge. And we'll clamp this to the bench, and then we'll take our saw and cut along there using the board as a fence to help get us a nice straight cut. We actually need to find center of this board before we finish cutting it in half. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our 6-inch ruler. We're going to put it at this corner down here. And then we're going to rotate it until that corner touches. So I want it touching on this corner down here and that corner up there. And then that 3-inch mark becomes our center. So the rule is pick a number easily divisible by 2. Okay, put your ruler mark on there and then rotate the ruler, or put your ruler on 0, then rotate the ruler to the other corner and then measure right there in the middle. Okay, and then actually get a longer one here. Take our 12-inch ruler and connect those dots all the way around, or all the way along there. Okay. We take our 1/4-inch mark again, and we mark there and there. This is gonna, you'll see why here in just a minute, but it's very important that we get these center marks done. Using the wood as the fence, we'll just cut that angle off. All right. So it might be helpful then to take your clamp and clamp the lid to the box at the ends. And all this does is help hold it steady and square. Now we're coming in with a 3/16" bit. And the reason we're using 3/16" bit is because we have a 3/16" dowel. You could go with a 1/4" if that's the dowel, size dowel you had, but 3/16 works really well. Again, just let the drill do the work. Do not push. We all have the, I guess, the tendency just to push. Okay, let the drill do the work. How far down are we? Well, that's good. Not bad. So you want to go in about 1 inch, you know, 1/2 inch for the top, 1/2 inch into there. It's a little over 1 inch. That's not a concern, but I wouldn't want to go too much under 1 inch. Pull it out. Let's see where you are. And we're well into the bottom there, so we should be good. Let's grab our bench hook again, and we're going to cut off a piece that is known to be bigger than the hole is deep. Really doesn't matter what, because we're going to trim it off later. This piece is very important. We're going to put a dab of glue inside the holes, and we want to make sure that it does not get on the outside. Otherwise, you run the risk of gluing your lid together. So, very carefully glue inside the hole. Take our dowel pins then, push that in. Push it in. You can even take your hammer and give it a light tap, just to make sure that it is fully seated. Okay. You might want to wait a couple of minutes just in case any glue oozed out, but because we are using super glue, it's going to set very, very quickly. Okay, after you've given it just a couple of minutes, then that super glue should be set up, and now you just slide your lid over the top, over those pins. And make sure we get a nice, good close. So what do we do about these pieces that are sticking up? Well, that's where you can take a playing card, a business card, somebody's business card, something like that. Come in with your saw, and the only thing this does is help avoid scratches on the lid. Last step, take a little, let's see, I got 120 grit sandpaper here. Just lightly hit those sharp edges. And there you have your swivel lid box that your young woodworker can now use to store all their treasures. So the swivel lid box is a great project. The kids are going to love it. When they show it off to grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, they're going to get a lot of oohs and ahs and about what a great project is. Really a great way to boost their confidence. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this is a project that you can make use of. Don't forget, there's free instructions on the website, links down below to all that, links to the books if you're interested in those as well. And I think that's going to wrap it up. Well, friends, take care. God bless.